Hey gang, it's Bryan from FX Billiards. I got a special request. The gentleman asked me, can you put together a video with 5 best drills for beginner players? Well, this video, I'm going to do something a little in reverse. I'm going to show you the best drills I can think of for intermediate players, and then I'm going to show you how to make them easier depending on your level. The problem with putting together a video for beginner players is that beginner is a relative term. Does beginner mean you just learned how to hold a cue a month ago and now you're trying to play? Or does it mean that you've been around for a couple years but you're still maybe an APA 3, or you're not winning a lot of games, or you just haven't had any exposure to fundamentals, or you've never done drills before and you want some beginner drills? And if you're an advanced player, you can use some of these drills to coach someone else. Now, we're going to make certain assumptions here. We're going to assume that you already know how to apply chalk to your cue, step back, and step into the shot line with your right foot lined up with the shot, and you're stepping into the shot line. Of course, it's different if you're left-handed. How to make a bridge, whether it is an open bridge or a closed bridge, and how to execute a shot. This is a simple drill for intermediate players to learn to shoot balls the length of the table. If this is too difficult for you as an intermediate, make the shots shorter, bring the balls closer to the pocket and shoot them down table. If you are a beginner, what you're going to do is you're going to shoot the same shots, this time without the cue ball, get accustomed to stepping into the line of the shot, send your shots down table. Now, very important point for you beginners and intermediate players. I want you to watch the path of this ball versus the next one. And then we have this one. If you notice, the second shot hit the side of this rail and went in the pocket. That's okay. We're allowed to do that in pool. But your target, when your object ball is close to the rail, your target is not the back of the pocket. If you aim for the back of the pocket, you're going to log a lot of misses. As you get closer to this rail, your target is going to be the edge of the pocket, right here. This also applies to all those side pocket shots you hate. You're aiming here, not here. This is a very, very small target. This is a very large target relative to this. So ideally, your shot does not touch the long rail first. As it heads down table, it hits the edge of the pocket here and falls in. If you hit the rail first, that's okay. It's not a miss if it goes in the pocket, right? This is also a very good time for you guys to work on your speed. The next item is not even a drill. It is more of a process, and that is simply rack the balls, 15 balls, break them, and shoot them off in any order. This is something that is way, way underutilized by a lot of players. You want to rack and play 8-ball against yourself, or you want to play your friends and call it practice. That is not practice. When you're playing your friends, that is not practice. You're actually moving backwards, because only 2 things can happen. Either, okay, maybe more than 2, but your friend is better than you, but they're not a coach. They're better than you because you're a beginner. And now they're giving you information that they picked up from some knucklehead who doesn't know what they're talking about. And now you got generation after generation after generation of guys teaching each other bad stuff that doesn't work. If they're not running racks, they shouldn't be coaching you. Okay, that's the bottom line. Speaking of position play, how should you practice learning to play position? Just throw 4 balls on the table now. You don't have 15, you just have 4. Start shooting them off and try to get position on your next shot. If you're a beginner and you see this layout, chances are you're not going to make these 4 balls in any order at all. If you're an intermediate player, there's a good chance that you won't make these 4 balls off in any order at all. But this is a way for you to practice. You can use 3 balls, you can use 5, you can use 7. We already talked about using the entire rack. It's actually a totally different drill. Let's shoot these off and we'll just talk our way through. So I see my 5 ball over here on the rail. This is a problem. You want to get your balls that are on the rail as you can because they create issues. I'm going to shoot a little stun here on the 5 ball. That's going to put me on the 6. The 6, I don't have the angle that I wanted, so I will roll this 7 ball in and I will still be on the 6. You're just running 4 balls off. Any order, guys. This is helping your game substantially. Now, you may notice I called out each shot and said what I was going to do with each one. I called an audible on that 6 ball. That's fine. This is something you want to do. Not just shoot the balls off, but shoot them off with a plan. Get in the habit of knowing why you're shooting that ball first. Get in the habit of knowing that this 5 ball is a problem shot. Get in the habit of knowing if I shoot the 6 now, which is makeable, it won't put me on the 7. Talk it through, if not out loud, at least in your head. Okay? And if you do make the mistake of practicing with someone else, the 2 of you talk back and forth. A more advanced variation of the first drill we did, where we just threw 4 balls on the table and shot them off in any order, would be to do the same thing now, but get the 8 ball involved. Now we're simulating the end of an 8 ball game. Our opponent has run their balls off and missed. We just have ours to run off. I want you to try to identify the pattern as best you can. You may not have the skill set to run them through that pattern, but try to identify a pattern that makes sense. If you're a beginner player, just because you don't have the skill set to shoot them off in that particular pattern, it's still a good idea to try to shoot that pattern. So I'm going to play 7, 1, 3, 6, and just to show off, I'll play the 8 in the same pocket as the 6. But what you're going to do is identify your pattern. If you ever get out of line, call an audible and shoot something different. If you miss, take ball in hand, please, and start from the point where you started, or at least the point where you missed. Do not set them up all over again. That is a bad habit. You do not need to run 5 balls as a beginner player. All you need to do is get through the rack. So give yourself ball in hand after a miss and finish them off. And if you do that, you will learn to see the patterns when all the balls are on the table. The reason you can't see the patterns now is because the table is too busy. Learn to shoot them with just the solids on the table. Then later on, we'll run entire racks. But if you can't see a 4-ball, a 5-ball pattern by itself, you're not going to see it with all the obstacles on the table as well. If you're a more advanced player, how many of those 5-ball runs can you do in a row? What's your best number? Let's look at something else. Just about anyone who has ever taken lessons from me is going to recognize this as what we call the 2 below drill. What you're doing is you're taking 2 balls, 2 solids, 2 stripes, doesn't matter, and you're simulating the end of an 8-ball game. You have to make those 2 balls get on the 8 and play the 8 without banking it or anything crazy in one of these corner pockets. Doesn't matter which one. Okay, you should have an idea what you're going to do before you shoot it, but that's always the case in pool. So if I say I'm going to play the 15 there, the 11 there, and let's play the 8 in the same pocket as the 11 just for the fun of it, you're just going to run them off. First, let me warn you, this is not as easy as it looks. Okay, guys look at this and they think they can do it, and I've seen APA 7s struggle their way through making this stuff like 2, even 3 times in a row. Just put the balls anywhere you want. One of the bonuses of the 2 below drill is that you learn a very good lesson. If you're playing 8-ball, when you have your 7 balls on the table, when you have balls that are below the 8 like this, you'll get rid of them. You'll get rid of them early in the rack. These are problem shots. Why are they problem shots? When you do the 2 below drill, you'll realize why. It is very difficult to get out with balls that are below the 8 ball and still get shape to play your 8 ball here, particularly if you're a beginner or intermediate player. What I make look easy, because I've done it hundreds and hundreds of thousands of times, is not easy, guys. Next time you're on a table, set up that 2 below drill. Do it 4 or 5 times in a row. It's not a layup at all. But that will teach you, number one, how to get through it, because you will have done it so many times. But number two, that you don't want to have that situation at the end of an 8-ball game, because it is not as easy as it looks. So make sure you get that drill in your game.